Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly build wealth while others struggle to save even a few $100s? The answer might surprise you. It's not about how much you make, it's about understanding why your first $10,000 is fundamentally different from every dollar that comes after it. I spent 10 years in construction, living paycheck to paycheck. My bank account was always hovering around zero. Then, I finally hit that first $10,000 in savings, and something changed. Not just my bank account, how my entire brain worked around financial decisions. I'm going to show you the mathematical and psychological reasons why that first $10,000 milestone changes everything. And by the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to cross that threshold faster than you thought possible. Look, if someone offered you $10,000 today or one penny that doubled every day for 30 days, which would you choose? That penny becomes over $5 million by day 30. This is compound interest in action, and it's exactly why your first chunk of savings matters so much. But compound interest alone doesn't explain the full story. There's something deeper happening with that first chunk of savings that creates a psychological shift in how you see wealth. Think about this. When you have zero savings, every financial decision feels like a crisis. Your car needs repairs? Crisis. Unexpected medical bill? Crisis. You're living in constant financial anxiety because you have no buffer between you and life's surprises. This creates what psychologists call scarcity mindset, where your brain is constantly focused on what you don't have rather than what's possible. And here's what happens when you're operating from scarcity. You take the payday loan because you need cash right now. You skip the oil change because it's another $80. You buy the cheaper tires that'll need replacing sooner. Every decision feels necessary in the moment, but the math adds up wrong over time. This is exactly why getting to that first $10,000 feels impossible when you're at zero. Now here's where it gets interesting. Once you hit around $8,000 to $10,000 in savings, something magical happens in your brain. You stop thinking like someone who's broke and start thinking like someone who has options. This isn't just feel-good psychology, it's measurable behavior change that affects every financial decision you make going forward. Here's the math behind why 10,000 is the magic number. First, it's enough to cover most true emergencies without going into debt. The average car repair costs between $1,200 and $3,000. Most emergency room visits run $2,000 to $5,000. With $10,000 in the bank, you can handle these situations without derailing your financial progress. Second, $10,000 represents about 3 to 4 months of expenses for most working people. This creates genuine financial security where you can take calculated risks, like changing jobs, starting a side business, or investing more aggressively because you know you have a foundation. Listen, here's what nobody tells you about that first $10,000.
Most people think building wealth is a linear process where every dollar saved has equal impact. That's completely wrong. Your first $1,000 saved is exponentially harder than your 10,000, not because of compound interest, but because of the psychological barriers you have to overcome. When you're starting from zero, you're fighting against years of conditioning that tells you you're not good with finances. Every small setback feels like proof that you'll never build wealth. You're also dealing with what I call the invisibility problem. Saving your first $100 doesn't feel meaningful because it barely moves the needle on your overall financial picture. And this is why most financial advice fails. It focuses on tactics like cutting out coffee or using coupons, instead of addressing the real challenge, which is building enough momentum to overcome these initial psychological barriers. Let me walk you through the 3 phases of building your first $10,000 and why each phase requires a completely different approach. Phase 1 covers $0 to $3,000. This is the foundation phase, and it's all about proving to yourself that you can actually save. During this phase, every dollar saved is a victory against your old patterns. The goal isn't optimization, it's consistency. You're literally rewiring your brain to see yourself as someone who saves. The key during this phase is to make savings so automatic and painless that you can't fail. Set up an automatic transfer of just $50 per week to a separate savings account. That's less than most people spend on lunch during the work week. And if you're thinking you can't even save $50 right now, that's exactly why Phase 1 is about proving you can start somewhere, even if it's $20 per week. In 1 year, you'll have $2,600 saved without thinking about it. But here's the crucial part. Don't touch this fund. Not for vacations, not for Christmas gifts, not for anything except true emergencies. This account exists for one purpose only, to prove to your subconscious mind that you can accumulate wealth. Phase 2 runs from $3,000 to $7,000. This is where things get psychologically interesting. You now have enough that losing it would actually hurt. This creates loss aversion, which is one of the most powerful motivators in human psychology. You become naturally more protective of your savings and more intentional about your spending. During this phase, you can start optimizing. Look for ways to increase your savings rate without dramatically impacting your lifestyle. Maybe you negotiate your phone bill, switch to a cheaper gym, or meal prep more often. Small optimizations that seemed pointless when you had zero savings now feel worthwhile because you can see them accelerating your progress toward that $10,000 goal. And phase 3 covers $7,000 to $10,000. This is the momentum phase. You're so close to your goal that every additional dollar saved feels significant. You start naturally looking for ways to earn more rather than just spending less. Maybe you pick up one Saturday shift, sell tools you're not using, or ask for a 3% raise. The psychological shift here is profound. You stop thinking like someone who's trying to save and start thinking like someone who's building wealth. These aren't the same mindset. And the difference affects everything from how you negotiate your salary to what kind of financial risks you're willing to take.
Drop a comment and let me know which phase you're in right now. Okay, let's talk about what happens after you hit 10,000. This is where compound interest really starts to matter, but more importantly, it's where your psychology completely flips. You now see yourself as someone who's good with finances. This identity shift changes your behavior in ways that have nothing to do with specific financial tactics. You start automatically comparing the cost of purchases to your savings rate. A $500 purchase doesn't just cost $500. It costs the week of automatic savings you'd have to skip to afford it. This mental framework naturally reduces impulse spending without requiring willpower. This makes you more strategic about debt. Instead of accepting high interest rates as normal, you start aggressively paying down credit cards and student loans because you can see how interest payments slow your wealth-building momentum. And investing becomes the obvious next step. When you have zero savings, investing feels risky and complicated. When you have $10,000 in emergency savings, it feels natural. You're no longer investing funds you might need next month. You're investing capital that can stay invested for years or decades. So here's the timeline most people can expect. If you're starting from zero and can save $300 per month, you'll hit $10,000 in about 33 months. That's 2 years and 9 months. Let's say you make $55,000 a year. After taxes, that's about $3,500 per month take-home. $300 per month is less than 10% of your paycheck. If you can push it to $500 per month, you'll get there in 20 months. That's 1 year and 8 months. The key is consistency, not perfection. If you miss a month because something unexpected came up, you didn't fail, you didn't start over, you just pushed your timeline back 30 days. That's it. Let me know your timeline in the comments. I'm curious how fast people want to get there. So here's what to do this week. First, figure out your current phase. If you're at zero, your only job is proving you can save consistently. Set up that automatic $50 weekly transfer today. If you're between $3,000 and $7,000, look for one optimization that doesn't hurt your lifestyle. Maybe negotiate one bill or cut one subscription you don't use. Add that savings to your automatic transfer. If you're in the $7,000 to $10,000 range, focus on momentum. Can you pick up overtime this month? Sell something you're not using? Find one way to accelerate. Your first $10,000 isn't just funds in the bank. It's proof that you can build wealth, a foundation for taking bigger financial risks, and the psychological shift that transforms you from someone who spends into someone who builds. Every dollar after becomes easier because you've already done the hardest part, proving to yourself that wealth building is possible. The question isn't whether you can save $10,000. The question is how fast you want to get there. In the next video, I'm breaking down exactly where that first $300 per month actually comes from on a working class salary without cutting out coffee or meal prepping every single meal.
See you in the next one. Let's build some wealth.